Okay, okay, so, okay, so yeah, this definitely feels like it's all leading up to something big. It's all leading up to something. It feels like there's gonna be a lot packed into the finale, though. It feels like there's gonna be like two whole kind of storylines packed into one finale, which will have the Hannah stuff and the LaGuerta stuff. We had interesting developments on both fronts in this episode alone. So yeah, so Dexter, he was fantasizing growing old with Hannah. I think that kind of flash forward, I guess you could say, was an interesting concept. Like, nice attention to detail on his grey hairs. I think I'm assuming. I mean, I don't think he was beyond 40 at least when filming this. I think that was literally just like a dye job or extensions or something. There was a nice attention to detail, and Hannah didn't really look. She didn't really look like she aged that much. But then we saw teenage Harrison as well taking the car, so there was a nice flash forward of his fantasy of actually being able to live that life with at least with someone at the very least. But yeah, I mean, I'm surprised he didn't mention Rita in that, because I think Rita, they were literally married and they had Harrison, they made Harrison. So I'm surprised he didn't mention I mean, maybe I missed it, but if I didn't, then I'm surprised he didn't mention the fact that, he fantasized about being able to grow old with her and stuff. But no, I think, yeah, I feel like the longer we go down, post season 4, the more we just forget about Rita, and the more he forgets about Rita. But I mean, it's a sign that he's moved on. But I figured that, like a mere mention at the very least could have been possible there. But no, that stuff was there. So Hannah. Yeah, I think Hannah poisoning Deborah. Yeah, so she didn't poison her with aconite. She didn't go for the trademark aconite poisoning. She poisoned her with her own medication instead. She knew. I think how she knew about that, I still don't know. Because I think I'm pretty positive that Dexter didn't mention it. Because whenever they do mention they do mention Deborah, it's usually about how distrustful and how much disdain Deborah holds towards Hannah. It's never about how she's doing. It's never about what she's on. So I think I don't know. I mean, it means that when she broke into Deborah's house, she would have looked through the medication stuff, seeing easy ways to frame her accident as an accident. But yeah, so she looked at all of her medications. She found out what she's on, and the anti-anxiety meds that she's on as well. She found an easy way to loop that in. So yeah, I think that confrontation scene they had was very well put together. I think it was an easy way to kind of frame it as two sides. Like one end being that oh, Hannah really didn't have Hannah presenting her own case. She's saying anytime she kills someone, they do die. It happened with her. It happened with her ex-husband. It happened with her mentor. It happened with Sal. Anytime she wants someone dead, they do actually die. I mean, with Sal, it happened a lot later. It didn't happen the way that she intended, but for the most part, it still happened. So with Deborah, if she had wanted to poison her, then it would have actually worked. So with this one, I think, I don't know if I think, with this one, it clearly failed because it didn't really work. She just had she was lucky enough to not die. It was still a car accident, and her car ended up, being, next to destroyed, and she ended up being in hospital with some minor injuries. So I think, I don't know if that begs the question of if this is the one murder where she actually got lucky enough to not kill her and not dement her relationship with Dexter further, or if she actually wasn't trying that hard. She was hoping to make it look more and more like an accident by not putting too much effort into it. But I don't know, because again, aconite is her trademark, so I think that would have been too easy. And she knows that Dexter himself, if he had found that, then it would have cemented it. But then the anti-anxiety stuff, it's easier to actually loop that back onto Deb's thing, her being on something like that. It would be easier to frame it as like an overdose of some sort. So yeah, but yeah, especially with I think Dexter made a good point of saying, especially with her. With Hannah's history of killing, it's always been people who have wronged her in some way. It's always been people who have wronged her, or people who are on the people who are a threat to her. Her, the ones I remember are her ex-husband. He didn't want kids, and she wanted them, and she was on the verge of having them, but then she killed him, and then she suffered a miscarriage. Her mentor, she wanted that place, that garden house place, so she killed her mentor off, and then the counselor, he sexually abused her as a teenager, so she wanted to get rid of him. And Arlene too. Arlene was also another victim of his. So they made that kind of pact to back each other up and to stay quiet. So yeah, so I think that was the one thing stopping her from killing Arlene too. The fact that they were both in it together and that she roped her into that too. So yeah, so there was that, and then she killed him. Sal Price, he was threatening to release info on her, and she already made that confession tape too. She already made that confession tape on him of having killed the wife in that couple homicide case. So everyone she's killed, she's had a reason to kill them. She's had a reason, she's had some kind of motive, some kind of vendetta against them. And Deborah, it goes without saying that she's holding some pain against her. Deborah is the one hurdle in her relationship with Dexter. She's the one thing stopping her from being truly with him and being truly in his life, because Deborah has made it abundantly clear, the longer she goes on, that she will stop at nothing to put Hannah behind bars when the case presents itself. And with Deborah, it's some kind of, it's weirdly enough the same parallel with LaGuerta. With LaGuerta, she knows that she knows that Sal Price died for doing what he did, and that that caused pain and enough motive for Hannah to want to kill him. So she's determined to put her away just for that alone. So now she finally has that position, has that chance. As soon as the Dexter finds out that she was the one who killed who tried to kill Deborah, she's like, Deborah's right. Hannah is not safe. She's the kind of person who will kill to get what she wants, and will kill if it means that she gets to survive the wrongdoings of her enemies. And Deborah is unfortunately one of them. So as long as Deborah and Hannah's beef is well and alive, and Hannah feels threatened enough by Deborah, then they can never truly be together, and Hannah will continuously try and kill her. I think with this one as well, it's the fact that she came out of it alive just shows that the longer she's it's just another chance for Deborah to fight for Hannah to go behind bars. And she made that clear too, as long as you're alive, I will do everything in my power to make sure that you spend your murderous life behind bars. She made that clear, so that was the final point in the needle for Hannah. So so by the end of the episode, he gave her the evidence. He gave her the pen with the aconite on it that killed Sal, and then led the police and Deborah right to Hannah. So and then Hannah's last words, "Oh, you should have killed me." That seemed eerily threatening. So I'm wondering, what else is she gonna try? Because now she feels threatened. Now she feels threatened by Dexter. Dexter effectively handed her on to the police like food on a platter. So what is she gonna try against him? Or is she gonna try and finish off Deb once and for all and stick a knife in Dexter's back like that? I don't know, but that ending scene, it looked like he had seized up, him, saying oh, in the blink of an eye, anything can happen. So and she kissed him under the mistletoe too. So did she kiss him with traces of aconite? Is that did she know that was gonna happen? Did she know that he would double cross? I think because for one thing, he had already confronted her about her possibly poisoning Deborah, so I think she had a good enough idea that Dexter wouldn't give this up. He would not give any of this up, and she ended that conversation on the terms that maybe you need to think about this, and maybe you need to I am 100% trusting in you that you would never I 100% trust you that you would never try something against me, but you need to be on that same level. You need to be on the same level if we're going to be in a relationship. So she ended the conversation on that note, which means that she must have had a good enough idea of the fact that he would continue investigating, and he's good enough at investigating this stuff that he would find something, that he would find the truth, and he would keep investigating Deborah's place. So would that have been the final move against him, taking him out for the count too? I don't know. That kiss and then his seizing up at the end of the episode, it just kind of caught me off guard. So I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm not. But yeah, so Hannah is under arrest, and I guess the end of the episode is good. The finale for the season is going to be her trial and stuff, and her they're deciding what to do with her, if she actually goes down or if she tries to escape or something. But I don't know. We'll see what happens. Then we had some interesting stuff on the front of Hector, Estrada, and LaGuerta. So yeah, so Hector was the last survivor of the three killers. He was the one that called the order. He was the one that called the order on the other ones. The other guy was San Juan, and he died some other way. I can't remember how he mentioned he died, but he died too. And then Santos Jimenez was the guy that Dexter actually managed to track down, and he chopped him up with a chainsaw too. So yeah, so this one. So this twist, the twist of this was that he didn't just get out luckily. He was actually released by LaGuerta, which goes to show how good she is at this and how confident she is that Dexter is the butcher. Like, as soon as she finds out that Santos Jimenez disappeared, by no accounts, he wasn't even found. He just disappeared off the grid, and the place was rented out to him. And he was a sworn enemy of Dexter after being the one to kill his mother. She knew that find out who else was a part of that gang who killed him, who was involved in Laura Moses' murder, and find out who else is left alive. So as soon as she finds out that he's alive, she's like, oh, this would be very, very good bait. This would be very, very clear bait to get him released and to get him into Dexter's hands and to catch him in the act. So that's how confident she is in Dexter being the Bay Harbor Butcher. So yeah, that is good. She's good at her job. She will stop at nothing, and she knows how to keep investigating this stuff and how to keep kind of bringing evidence into her hands. So yeah, so she ordered his release, and then I figured that gunshot that he set up. I think I'm wondering why he didn't actually just have like a syringe or something. Just like he opted to choke him out instead. I'm wondering why he didn't. If he just grabbed his hands and then put the syringe in. I mean, maybe he might have still had like that, like a second or two to react and still try and pull the trigger. But at the same time, it's like the chokehold. I think it's somewhat less effective than going straight for the chemical knockout. But I don't know. He didn't go for it. He went for the chokehold instead, and that shot definitely did register on the other cops, in the other cops' ears, and they called in LaGuerta as soon as they detected it. So Hector was the one that Dexter would feed to his dark passenger, the one that he actually had like a vendetta against, and LaGuerta counted on him acting on that vendetta, acting on him, luring him into some kind of trap and wanting to kill him in a shipping container, no less. In a shipping container. That was very, 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 very poetic. And then as soon as he finds out that, the captain of the Miami PD had him released, he knows that, this was a trap. And, he knows the entire time, LaGuerta thinks he's the Bell Butcher, so he's like, oh, this is a trap. She knew this would lure me out into the open, so she wanted to catch him in the act. And he led Matthews and LaGuerta into quite the honey trap too, with the boathouse out in the middle of nowhere, leading them to the other warehouse where the boat was, and then Matthews finding all the equipment that him having planted his equipment, the plastic sheeting and the tools and everything. So LaGuerta knew that too. LaGuerta knew that this stuff could have been planted just as easy. I'm wondering if he weathered it enough, because if he wanted if he wanted to leave the impression that everything else in there was a mess because it'd been left behind for years. I'm wondering if he actually weathered that stuff in there enough, if there was enough dust on there, if it looked abandoned for long enough for it to be convincing. Like, the prints were still there. The prints wouldn't leave. The prints were still there. But then, if he had left the sheeting and the tools there, old enough, there for long enough for it to look convincingly old, because then that could have been another clue. Like, oh, it looks too good to be true. It looks too new to be true. Like, it looks like it was planted. Like, there's not enough dust, filtering or dust spacing underneath it. There's not enough evidence that it looks like it was here for as long as everything else was in here. But she knew that, and especially she knew she is good at investigating this information. She knows the suspects. I think that's one of the things keeping her hooked onto this case, that she knows the suspects, like Dexter and Dokes. She knows them individually, what their jobs were and what they were, and their history too. Like Dokes, he was a detective. He was her partner for many years too, both romantically and professionally. So she knows that what his job was like and how he treated his job. He wanted to catch the bad guys and put them away for good. And he had his reservations about Dexter, but Dexter, Dokes, he just had that kind of detective. He was naturally creeped out by Dexter, which was one of the highlights of the first couple of seasons. So So she knew that Dokes, he would not know about this kind of stuff. He would not, he was the one who investigated the criminals. He investigated the criminals. He caught them. He put them away. He was not the kind of guy who would know how to case a crime scene, that kind of stuff. But Dexter, he was a forensic analyst. He was a blood spatter analyst. He knew what crime scenes looked like, how appearances could be deceiving, how to craft one from years of studying how to actually, decipher one. So he was the kind of guy who would know not to leave evidence behind. He would know how to clean up after himself. He would know all this stuff and have all these necessary tools. He would be the one to use the plastic sheeting to prevent any blood being left behind. He would use the right kind of knives to dismember stuff. He would know all that stuff. All the information he has would allow him to actually, execute these crimes down to the last, encrypted details. So she knows that about him, and that just makes him even more likely, and especially his history of Santos Jimenez just conveniently disappearing, it would just point to more and more evidence that Dexter was the one that took him out once he got his hands on him as a vendetta. So yeah, and him and her even pointing that out, who would have more motive and more reason to want Jimenez dead, like Dokes, some guy who might have just caught him as a criminal, or Dexter, who knew that this was the guy that killed his mother and wrecked his childhood and everything like that. So yeah, so she knows all of this stuff, and it's what's keeping her on this track. And yeah, I'm pretty sure. I mean, I don't know if we're gonna lose LaGuerta over this, but I'm pretty sure she's not gonna give this up until until it might even kill her. But yeah, she's I think she's all the more determined to clear Dokes' name, even in death. Even in death, she is. Even in his death, she's more determined than ever to clear Dokes' name and to prove that he wasn't the Bay Harbor Butcher, and to not have his name tarnished like that. So. Yeah, but I mean, Dexter had Matthews on the hook of his finger too, especially with that last scene. Like giving him that scotch or whiskey or whatever, the alcohol, the Christmas present, and actually double crossing him. And Matthews was so kind in that scene too, like oh, it was my fault for entertaining that idea. You go have a good Christmas with your family and take care of yourself and all that sort of stuff. Like he was so kind in that scene. It almost makes me feel bad for Dexter being able to so convincingly double cross him, but. But yeah, so that was that. So Matthews has left us all behind, but LaGuerta not so much. So yeah, that was an interesting kind of last scene to have, her having been the one to release Estrada just to lure Dexter into a trap of having caught himself out. So yeah, we will see what happens. But Hector is still out there. He jumped into the ocean and he swam out. So he's seen Dexter's face and he knows who he is, and he knows that he's the one that tried to kill him. So he can very easily testify against against Dex, should that situation come to play. I mean, I'm hoping Dexter can kill him before he gets a chance, but if he doesn't, then he's a prime suspect he's a prime kind of witness to, or very nearly a victim of the Bay Harbor Butcher himself, but he's also a prime witness to who he really is and what he did. So yeah, but I'm wondering if that would get him time again, if because he can only convince him that he was it, because because then if he's asked why Dexter would have wanted to kill him, then, it's known that, he would have killed Laura. So I think, in that case, he would have to go back in for more time too. So, he got parole. No, it wasn't even valid parole. It was LaGuerta literally releasing him as bait for Dexter. So I don't know if that would be valid parole, but I don't know. I mean, would he even reveal that information? Would he reveal that, it was actually a police captain from Miami Metro that released me? I don't know, but we'll see. We will see. But yeah, this was a hell of a penultimate episode. So we'll see soon enough exactly where all this stuff with LaGuerta and Hannah leads us. And yeah, we'll see how this season ends. I think I don't know who we might actually lose out of LaGuerta and Hannah. I don't know. I mean, LaGuerta, I can kind of see it happening, because again, if Dexter realizes, because with I don't know, because it's two of the same thing. Hannah, she might kill Dexter out of anger. She might kill him out of anger, but then LaGuerta, she won't stop investigating him until she dies. So I don't know if Dexter might kind of, if he might consider putting her down just to stop her from investigating. I don't know if he might even consider that, but yeah, I don't know. I feel like we might be losing either one of them by the end of this one. So we'll see how things go, but. Yeah, that is pretty much all I have from this episode. Let me know what you guys thought and what your theories are and stuff. But yeah, that is all I have. So that was Dexter Season 7, Episode 11, titled Do You See What I See? So thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you guys enjoyed it, then salt and burn that like button. Comment on what you thought comment on what you thought of this episode and what you think is coming up in the finale, what you think is going to go down. The uncut reaction will be available on Patreon, so feel free to go check that out. And yeah, that is it. So I will see you guys next time.